Round 2 of the all-wheel drive Safari Championship headed to the tank training grounds at Bovington, and taking an early lead in the event will be Rob Morris and Rob Lay. They pushed hard in the morning to get themselves a bit of an advantage in that top spot, allowing them to manage that through the afternoon. Having rolled the car at a previous event, Scott Weaver and Heidi Evans were looking for a finish. Drama-free would be nice, but that wasn't stopping them from trying, of course. They were struggling a little with the dust at times affecting visibility and blocking up the air filter on each run, but things were going well for the pair, in second overall, leading Class 8. Michael Tilney and Niall Banyard come here with some setup changes on the car, full of confidence and allowing it to soak up the conditions a lot more than on previous visits to Bovington. It helped, of course, and it got them through the morning runs in the lead of the 5A class and in third overall. Fourth place at this stage will be Steve Smith. Things going well for him, leading the way in Class 9 and the times getting quicker as the morning went on. Things had started well for Toby Cox as well. Other than catching the dust of another car in the first run of the day, the times were looking good and getting better as well as the morning went on. Sadly, he'd clip a chicane on run 4, landing him a penalty and dropping him to 5th overall, second in the class by the halfway point of the event. It was a great start for Samuel Herod and Adam Weaver. They were enjoying the good mix of conditions on the course this weekend, and with it being unusually dry, they were able to put in some good times to lead the way in Class 4 and lie in 6th overall. 7th at this stage was Hemi Smith. She was going well in the class as well, second in Class 8 by the midpoint of the event. Brian and Mitchell Birch would bring a new car to the race this weekend, and they'd be working on the setup as they went along this morning. Things going well though, no issues to report, getting used to things more each run. They end the morning third in Class 9, 8th overall. Philippa and James Tennant didn't feel like they had the pace this weekend, but they end the morning 9th overall, second in Class 5A, so something was clearly going right. Philippa was driving the whole event this weekend, and the times were getting better as the event went on. And rounding out the top 10 at this stage will be Kieran Fogarty and Rhys Tiffany. They'd had a good morning, no issues, and feeling more confident in the car, pushing a little harder on each run out. They also lie third in the 5A class. And meanwhile, Dave Bakewell will be joined by Kyle Collins this weekend. As usual, navigator Lindsay was busy with the timekeeping on the event. It was a steady first run to get a look at the course, but after that, things certainly picked up. 11th overall, 4th in the class for now. Joshua Munn and Lauren Carpenter would lead the way in Class 6. They were continuing to improve the run times as the morning went on, 3 minutes faster on the 4th run of the day compared to the first. And Cy Badge would lose a wheel on run 2. Luckily, close enough to the finish to not lose much time with it. There'd be a big job to get the hub and the brakes changed before the next runs though. Even with that issue, he still leads the way in Class 7 from 13th overall. Hamish Grundy and Steve Lane would get caught in some dust on the opening run of the event. And having not walked or driven the course in advance, they'd miss a corner, having to turn around. Despite this though, they end the morning second in Class 4, 14th overall. After a disappointing retirement at the opening round, Jonathan Damrell and Nick Blundell just wanted this weekend to go smoothly. They have no issues in the morning and would end run 4 with second in Class 7, 15th overall. For Bruce Mallet, it was 16th on the overall leaderboard for now, lying 5th in Class 9. Sadly for him, he'd only managed one more run before a bit of disappointment and having to retire early in the afternoon. This was the first time ever competing on a comp safari for Peter Thorne. It was all going swimmingly for him at this stage as well, but the dust really wasn't ideal in a car that didn't have any side windows. It had been a late night sorting an alternator issue for Tom Neal and Rhys Tiffany. They would make it to the start okay, but would hit some of the rough sections a little too fast. breaking the gearbox mount on run 2. They'd make a temporary repair with some exhaust rubbers, but it wasn't ideal by any stretch of the imagination. However, they lie 21st overall for now. Local round here at Bovington for Maximilian Rose and Ben Jacob, but it would be a hard course for the car. They'd struggle with some of the rougher sections, ending up with a broken sump. They would end run 4 and get a time, but that would be as far as the pair would go. We also lose Aaron Birch and Aaron Brimblecombe in the morning runs. They have a good start and some top times as well, but a broken front prop would leave them with only 2-wheel drive. And not wanting to put too much pressure on the gearbox, the decision was taken to call it a day. Sadly, we'd also lose a few more crews early into the event. James Withers and Andy Kent retiring after just 2 runs. A similar story as well for Ricky Fletcher, also only making it through 2 runs of the event. And for Peter and Louis Medley, it was also 2 runs complete. Some early attrition on the event at Bovington this weekend. So with a bit of a grueling morning complete, here's a reminder of how those overall results were looking here at round 2. On to the afternoon runs, perhaps a day of making up some positions with all of the attrition. We'd lose though Hamish Grundy and Steve Lane, the gearbox giving up on run 6, leaving them with only reverse gear. And given they got lost on run 1, going backwards for the last 2 runs probably wasn't a good idea. We also lose Tom Neal and Rhys Tiffany as the attrition continues. That broken gearbox mount put too much pressure on the engine mount, causing that to break as well and ending their event for final on run 5. On to our finishes though, it was 18th overall for Alex Roussel. 2 maximums at the end of the day, not helping that overall result. A similar story as well for Chris Reed, ending the event 17th overall, himself with 2 maximum times. No problems to report on his debut for Peter Thorne, completing all of his runs on time and finishing his first comp safari with 16th overall, 3rd in Class 4. It would be a disappointing end though for Samuel Herod and Adam Weaver. They split the fuel tank on the penultimate run. They did still get a finish, but that maximum on run 8 would drop them down to 15th overall, 2nd in Class 4. And taking that Class 4 win will be Stephen and Ethan Lewis, jumping up a number of spots in the class in the afternoon to take that position, even with a 1-minute penalty. Not bad going. And things went to plan in the end for Jonathan Damrell and Nick Blundell. They have a few small issues out on the course, but nothing that would cause them too much drama. They end the event 2nd in Class 7, 13th overall. A sensible drive was the order of the day for Cy Badge, in the afternoon at least. The championship points in mind, and this venue can bite if you push too hard, especially in a beam axle car. So a big push isn't always the right approach. He ends the event 1st in Class 7, 12th overall, proving the concept. Joshua Munn and Lauren Carpenter, meanwhile, keep things going in the right direction to the end of the event, taking the Class 6 victory and finishing just outside our top 10 in 11th overall. On to that hard-fought top 10 then, and in that 10th position, Dave Bakewell and Kyle Collins had a good day. They'd had to make a temporary repair on a CV joint for the final run, but apart from that, things had gone pretty much to plan. They take 4th in Class 9 for their efforts as well. Kieran Fogarty and Rhys Tiffany would make a big push on the final run to try and get a run under 11 minutes. That caused them a few moments, including nearly rolling the car. Sadly, that meant they missed out on that sub-11-minute time by 2 seconds. Still, they take 2nd place in Class 5A and 9th overall. Philippa and James Tennant would catch a car in run 6, the dust providing them a bit of a challenge, shall we say. They had a few small issues as well and felt that they could have done with some more power, can't we all? But overall, the weekend had been a solid one. 1st in Class 5A, 8th overall. After the morning's penalty, Toby Cox decided to play it safe, knowing that there was too much time to make back. The class win, though, was still in sight. That was, however, until he picked up a puncture and would miss out on the class win, dropping back to 3rd place in the class, but he does still take 7th overall. Just beating him to that 2nd place in Class 9 would be Brian and Mitchell Birch. Meryl Richards stepping back into the navigator's seat for a few runs as well. And it would actually be her in the car when they got their fastest time of the weekend as well. They didn't have any issues whatsoever, just put fuel in the car and away they went. They take 6th place overall and were already excited for the next round. It was a 5th place finish for Hemi Smith, missing out on 4th by just 46 seconds. And with 3 minutes of penalties through the day, that certainly meant a place missed. But 5th overall was a fantastic end to the event, 1st in Class 8 as well. It was a Class 9 win for Steve Smith, a good end to the event with some consistent times to take 4th overall as well. On to the podium positions then, and it will be 3rd for Michael Tilney and Niall Banyard. It hadn't been without its issues though, breaking the front diff on the penultimate run, meaning that they did the last one in 2-wheel drive only. They were struggling a little with the belt slipping on full throttle as well, but they make it to the end with that podium finish. Everything went well in the end for Scott Weaver and Heidi Evans. No issues for the pair. They actually set the fastest time of the event overall on their final run of the day. If they'd been on that pace all day, then they could well have been on the top step after they missed out by just 24 seconds in the end. But 2nd place was a fantastic finish and a good haul of points for the pair. But that all means it is victory for Rob Morris and Rob Lay. They got ahead of the pack on the morning runs and were able to play it safe for the rest of the event. A good, measured and well-managed drive to victory for the pair here at round 2. So with the action complete and plenty of repairs and reprep to do from Bovington, here's a reminder of how those final overall results were decided.